You know, water is both a blessing and a curse. It is good, it is bad. Depends on how much and where and when. A spot like this, pretty awesome. Right now, in the Bahamas, water is very much the curse. Between the water and the wind, there's some terrible things happening. So, I like to talk to my kids about power, about what our superpowers are. Well, the first superpower I taught them is learning. But once you've learned, what you have learned becomes your power. I like to use the term talent stack. It is not my term. I learned the term from Scott Adams. He talks about how if you want to have an impact, build your talent stack. What can you do? What can you offer? He uses the term talent stack in reference to how you make your fortune. Well, I'm thinking of it in terms of how I can make a difference. It's not about me at all. It's about each of us. What do you bring to the table? Are you a virtuoso at one thing? Wonderful. If you can be in the place where that one thing is needed, that's fantastic. But the better you are, the more specialized usually you become, and so the narrower your opportunities to make a difference. That's not necessarily the case, but in general. I have been collecting skills for years the way other people collect stamps. And so when it comes to an event like a major disaster, the question is not, can I help? The question is, how can I help the best? And right now, my superpowers, I don't say that to be bragging because I'm not. My ways to help include very fast transportation into places where you just can't get otherwise. The ability to fix things, the ability to communicate. Amateur radio works when nothing else works. Internet requires satellite connections, requires landline connections, requires power. Amateur radio requires power. You throw up an antenna, you figure out a way to power your radio, and you can communicate in ways that when all else has failed, you can communicate. So I'm trying to figure out right now how I can get down to the Bahamas where people stayed knowing their risks because they were needed there. We don't know their condition right now. We fear for the worst. We don't know. But we are working to get down there. Since I'm already going, I'm trying to figure out how I can leverage other things also. I'm going to take a set of tools with me. And I'm going to take probably some supplies that we can leave for the people. I'd like to take a radio, an antenna, a solar panel, and a battery and charge controller, and be able to set up an antenna down there and a station to make it possible to communicate back. Now, what I do not have is time. Unfortunately, part of what comes with doing what I do is I've got to do it a lot. for a living. That means that I have, at this point, Thursday afternoon and all day Friday. I'm trying to work on getting more time, but that requires other people to work when I am already committed to work. So that is not an easy thing to make happen. If I don't trade, then I have to lose the money for the day, and that's, at this point, difficult for me. So I've got Thursday afternoon and Friday. If I can find a way to get an amateur radio operator down there, or better, to find an amateur radio operator who needs a station on site down there, that will get the most bang for my time. So if you know of someone on the island, preferably on I'm planning to go into either Marsh Harbor or Treasure Key. If you know someone in those areas who is an amateur radio operator and you have any way to reach them, which fat chance at this point, but if you do, I'll bring them a radio. More realistically, if you know someone who is free, who is capable, and who can take care of themselves in austere conditions, I would offer a ride at one seat. So that's where we stand right now. I'm gonna go try to help people, try to make a difference. I'm just doing what I feel like I can do. Each of us does that. And a lot of times we feel like we can't do much. I'm not looking for money. Other people will be desperately needing money to help people. More importantly, there will be needs for people who can give time. I know we're going to have an impact here. We're going to have damage here in the U.S. also. We'll get there. But right now we've got widespread destruction in the Bahamas. That's where I'm headed. So we'll see how the next few weeks go. And I say that specifically, weeks, maybe even months, because you have the initial phase of response, which is save lives. Then once you've saved all the lives you can, recover what bodies are left, identify them, blah blah. After that comes infrastructure recovery. That will be going on for even years. So there's a lot of people already organized to do these things. I've made some connections, but I still haven't made a commitment to any particular group. Right now I'm just trying to get my friends down to find their family and to do whatever else we can do while we're at it. It's not about me, it's about what we can do. See you guys.